Well, did you know your pet could be suffering through an ear infection and maybe you'd never even realize it? So what are the signs? Our pet expert, Dr. Sandy Norman, is here with some of them. And how can you tell? Because they can't cry like a child might be able to.
No, they don't, but they're in a lot of discomfort. So classic is they shake their head. They shake their head, they rub their ears. They actually do get a lot of pain from them. And they have a very big external, and remember these are external ear infections, they aren't like middle ear infections like your kids get, but they can progress to a middle ear infection. So it's very important. They're very difficult to treat, so it's really important that you get these treated early because you're going to have a much better outcome than if you just wait until they shake and shake and shake their head and then you end up at the veterinarian with much more serious infection.
And dogs and cats alike, right?
Yeah, dogs and cats both. Most people say, oh, it's ear mites. It can be, but it generally is a bacterial or yeast infection, and that's a problem when you have to fight both of those at the same time. So if they're scratching their ears, shaking their head, have a head tilt possibly, or they're in pain, or they're just rubbing their ears all the time, it's really good to have attention paid to those and like early to get an early diagnosis and early treatment.
And what is the possible treatment? I know you said it's hard to treat.
It can be very difficult. Dogs have a very much longer ear canal, so we do use ointments in the ears, but they have to be cleaned out first because they have a lot of stuff. You'll get an odor from the ears, and everything has to come out in order to be treated. A lot of times they need oral antibiotics. Sometimes if it's very severe, they even need to be anesthetized and they have the ears flushed. So it can be a very serious situation. The other problem is you worry about dogs being deaf.
Right.
If they're clogged up, they can be deaf. Deafness does happen. They can be born with it. They can develop it. They get it later in life. The only thing about a deaf dog is you want to remember that they can't do real well outside. They can't hear noises. So you just have to be a little more aware of them and what they are and where they're at, even in the house, that they can't hear things.
And where would these dogs or cats be catching it? Is it at puppy daycare or?
No, a lot of times it's just bacteria that gets in the ears. Floppy-eared dogs, because they don't get oxygen in there, that's one of them. The other thing is they get mites and external bacteria from the outside, and they get down into the ear canal. The ear canal is L-shaped, so it kind of hides down there. Right. So it's easy for that to get settled down there and start growing. So usually they get it externally from around their skin. The bacteria, yeast, or mites travel into the ear canal, and then there's no good way out. And especially floppy-eared dogs, when their ears are covered, there's no oxygen in there. They get an environment where the bacteria might be discouraged from growing.
Yikes. Well, Dr. Norman, thank you so much for giving us the signs, and hopefully folks are paying attention, and if you do notice something, go to see your vet.
Yes, absolutely. It needs to get there so he can treat it properly early so it doesn't get any worse.
Exactly. Dr. Norman, thank you so much for joining us.